You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
Okay. Camille, welcome to the show. I'm honored to have you.
Great, thanks.
So a couple of things for our listeners I'd like to try to throw out there as far as what compelled you to start what it is that you do. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm a kitchen cabinet maker and a kitchen remodeler for 25 years. And you mean kind of like how I got started or why I'm so passionate about it?
Yeah, what compelled you to really get into, it's obviously different. You obviously found an awesome niche, but it's something obviously you're passionate about.
Yeah, so what really compelled me was I was a business and marketing consultant, went to college, did that, loved problem solving, loved helping women like build their businesses, but I kind of got burnt out. And at some point I basically just decided it wasn't working. So I gave up my career, my MBA, that whole thing. And I had been remodeling my homes in the background, and that was really my only real stress relief. And so my sister said, "Oh my God, like you're killing me. Just go and become an actual carpenter. That's what you do with all your free time. You remodel all your friends' houses." So I did. I gave all that up and I joined the union, and I dug ditches with the Mexican guys, and I'm like 5'3".
That's right.
But I absolutely loved it. Like literally the hardest day, 100-degree heat, digging ditches. I went home so satisfied. And I knew that was the right choice for me. And so after a couple of years in the union, I struck out because I love being self-employed and built my own kitchen remodeling company. And that kind of what compelled me with that was that I saw how many women were being taken advantage of in the industry. And it just really bothered me. And so I wanted to build cabinets better. I wanted to really educate the women. And so that's really what drove the kitchen remodeling business, was that sort of advocacy for women and because there's not any other women in this industry. So, yeah.
Is that right? Is it that niche where you are the one in the industry that is kind of leading the movement, if you will, on the cabinet side or cabinet industry or just constructional world in general?
Yeah. There are some women now. Again, I'm 50 now. So this was 25 years ago. There was so few women in it. There are more women, but we're still very spread out, and only because of the Instagram and the internet that we're starting to connect to each other. But I worked my whole career never meeting any other women in the industry, like ever, in any job sites.
That's really interesting. It's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah, so it's very male dominated, and but the clients love working with women. They just love having a woman in the house doing the construction work. So it's a real natural fit when you think about it. Like women hiring other women makes sense. It's just they're hard to find. They're few and far between.
Let me ask you this. When you started, was it, and I kind of resonate with it, because when I work with my hands, and I grew up on a small pig farm and my dad was in the fields and I worked in that world as well. And I think about how it was therapeutic. Was it therapeutic for you when you first started like this? I like work. You just like working with your hands, your sense of accomplishment, your sense of being able to look back and say, hey, I got this done today. And you feel like you did because there's some labor involved.
Yeah, for me, it's like a real mental health thing too. It's like have creativity, have good mental health. Yeah, I never feel bad when I'm working with my hands. I'm completely focused on what I'm doing, routing, sanding, cutting, building. And there's just such an amazing sense of self-esteem when you like take a completely empty room and you build this huge, gorgeous kitchen in it. Yeah. Just like no one can take that away from you. Like it's so personal to you. So yes, it's absolutely very tangible. I absolutely, there's no bad day in the workshop. Yeah,
no, you're right. You see the fruits of your labor. I'm with you. You wanted to get probably after the MBA and the corporate lifestyle. I resonate with that, being behind a desk for so long. Like, get the heck, I need to go out there and do something. I started a company. One of my companies is a yacht rental business. And I bought this 75-foot boat. We do all these awesome fun events on it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't just, let's go have fun and jump on the boat and go. It was in the engine, right? Scrubbing decks, putting up paneling. And so I can see where you're coming from, and I love that. What do you think you wish you'd had known as an entrepreneur that you can share with the listeners on what you wish you knew that you know now?
You mean from when I was like much younger?
Yeah, exactly. Like when you first started out.
I wish I knew how good I was going to be at it. Like I wish people told women and girls to take risks and to really go after their dreams. Like at that time, it wasn't very common. And so it was like a really big deal. So I was definitely didn't think it was going to work. Definitely was worried and scared and nervous and anxious. And I just wish someone had just said, hey, you're going to be so good at this. Like women are so uniquely qualified to be carpenters, to be in construction, to be in the trades. It's creative. Women are natural problem solvers. They're natural caretakers of their clients. And so I wish someone had just told me that, like, look, you're going to be really damn good at this.
Awesome. What do you feel like you, in terms of, you had a lot of trials and tribulations like most entrepreneurs, right? Tell me something why you feel that you see other entrepreneurs out there that you see them day in and day out. Why do you think some quit? Why do you think some just say, I'm over it?
Well, because it's really mentally stressful. Like there's a lot of stress that goes on with running a business, and there's not a lot of support. Even in my own family, not very many of my family members are actually interested in what I'm doing. Really? And it's pretty typical. Like it's kind of a very unusual job to be an entrepreneur. And so, for me, like it really helps to have business besties. It really helps to have another person like you who's an entrepreneur. You really get the stress level. And so for me, like, I think most people quit because of that, because they don't have some resources of friends that are on the same level that they are to really talk about client management and talk about the stress of like just the financials of it. It's a very different way of running your life. And so I think most people quit because of that. And it makes me sad because there's definitely resources for that. Yeah. It's just, it's definitely getting better now because of the internet. Yeah. It's a lot easier to reach out and ask for friends, but if you've had a problem, I guarantee you someone else has had that as an entrepreneur. Sure. And if you just reach out and ask for help or ask for just someone even just to talk it through helps so much, I find. Like business therapy.
Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8 to 5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellevis.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's michaellevis.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're right. Now there's a way of just Googling it, right? And or watching few videos. And I recall a friend of mine who's actually my CPA in the past in California before I moved to Puerto Rico. A lot of questions sometimes would go back and forth, and I felt like we had a mastermind text message process going on all the time. But it was, hey, how do you kind of cope with the stress? And I said, you don't really necessarily, or how do you deal with it? And I go, well, you start, I think initially it's harder because the world crashes down. But then I go, it doesn't go away. It just gets easier. You just start realizing that you kind of battle it out a lot better. And your state of mind is like, I'm just going to get through it because I have to, and I know I can because I've done it before, right? Yeah. What are some of those hurdles that you went through, by the way? There's
definitely an entrepreneurial muscle that you build up.
You're right.
I mean, you definitely, sorry, my kitten is trying to jump up on my
That's okay.
1 sec.
Let's
God, I'm sorry. He's right here.
Hey, what's up?
He's killing me. He normally is asleep right now.
I love it.
What's going on? So you're saying, what are some of those strategies that I use?
Well, I guess what are some of the hurdles that you felt like, if you think about, wow, this was probably top 2, top 3 hard hurdle that I had to get through. What are some of those you can share with some potential aspiring entrepreneurs and or business owners that are going through like, wow, okay, it's not just me. What are some hurdles that you specifically that you feel you've had to get through?
Yeah, I can tell you one was the first time I ever got sued.
Yep.
That was a really, really hard day. That was probably the day I never thought would ever happen, because if you're an entrepreneur, you really love your clients, you love your product, whatever that thing is, you're intensely passionate about it. Yeah. And I remember the day I got sued from a client, and I couldn't believe it because I'd done such a beautiful job. And I was just, just in tears. I was just absolutely, this is probably about 9 years ago. And I've been running a very successful business. So, I mean, I was, we all make mistakes. We all do things we wish we could do a little better, but I really cared about my jobs. And I was just devastated. And it was the first time I really ran across like a really big problem I really didn't actually have an answer to. And I called a larger contractor friend of mine, an older gentleman, and was just complaining about the whole thing and talking about it. And he was like, oh my God, you're just now getting sued? I was like, he's like, is this your first time? And I was like, yes. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? And he really put it in perspective for me. He's like, honey, I've been doing this for 40 years, whatever. And I've been sued like 25 times. And he was such a good contractor. Like I'd been a sub on his job. I knew the quality of his work. And so for me to see someone that really, I was like, oh, okay, I can't take every single thing personal.
Right.
Because it's literally like, she basically just didn't want to pay her bill. Right. That's basically it. They ran out of money and they didn't mind trashing my reputation. And for us, we care so personally about what we do. That really taught me a good lesson about detachment. Sure. And really just your business is not yourself. That was a really hard lesson for me because it was up until then, it was 100% my personality. It was me. Yeah. So he really helped. He couched me through that. He helped with the arbitration. He helped me make a settlement. I mean, that was the first time I really, really needed someone, and he really helped me, and he helped me just mentally be able to handle that. So, and I got sued 6 more times after that.
Oh, sure. Of course. Oh, yeah. Entrepreneurs aren't strangers to litigation. I always tell people, like, I'm pretty much a certified paralegal at this point.
Yeah. So you have too. It feels so horrible, so shameful.
It's the worst part of the job. And I think it's like, hey, for the listeners, it's kind of like we call it Life Nation, the Business of Life is the podcast. And we talk about more about like, listen, it's part of it. It's part of your life. And it's that peace of mind sometimes that you want to go to bed realizing like, you don't want to go to bed realizing you have litigation in the horizon, but it's a part of the game. And sometimes, it's a part of a game. Yeah. It's unfortunate because you're absolutely right. Like you said, some people don't want to pay the bill and you just can't, know, you think you can't make everyone happy. You can't be everything to everyone. I mean, don't think that you're Amazon or Nutella, right? It's just that's not who you're able to be in terms of being like making everybody happy. Some people just have that psychology in terms of like, listen, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to find an angle out of it. But litigation, definitely, I agree. It's going to be a hurdle, and it's you've probably heard this a million times. It's not if, it's when. And it's kind of sometimes a pat on the back to your processes of growing. Right. Or you're realizing that it's time that you have grown. And
it definitely made me grow myself as a business owner. And it definitely made me personally detach from the outcome as much. Whereas before I was too attached, actually. It was too much a part of my personality, my identity. So it was a really good lesson. Good. Very good lesson for me. So, yeah.
What are some things that you're curious about right now? What kind of projects? You've had this business, you have several employees, you got people helping you out, and you're growing and you're growing. You've obviously established something awesome, by the way, which is amazing. What are you curious about right now? Like, what do you think current projects that you're kind of working out in your own business and or personal life?
So, I'd say probably what I'm the most curious about and absolutely love is all the things you can do automated online. And so I'm able to take sort of my message and the things that I know how to do to a much bigger place. So I love being able to like serve more people. Yeah. And I do that in a couple different ways that I'm working on right now, which is like a handy woman business. So I have this way of doing a side hustle for women and teaching them how to learn some tools and make some extra money on the side. Awesome. And then I also have, we have this carpentry school for women. So we've taught almost 7,000 women who've gone through that school. And these are just private citizens that love to learn how to use power tools, private women who love to use power tools. So I'm the most curious about transferring all that stuff online and being able to serve women nationwide, because that all happens at our local physical shop. Right. And just myself, maybe, doing some speaking engagements and getting the word out there about women in the construction industry. Like, I'm just very excited about that and curious how to make that happen. So that's sort of kind of what I'm working on.
What are some good are there some good websites out there that you would, if there is a woman listening that says like, wow, I can do this. I've done this. I'm extremely handy. I'm creative. A lot of our struggles become our message, which is yours, like the struggle of going through it, learning it, and now you can teach it. And so, are there some good tools or resources out there or websites, or is it just kind of, do you have a YouTube channel maybe that people can see and listen to?
So I have my website. So there's a lot of free content, my podcast. Great. Yeah, remodelyourlifepodcast.com. And I have a little, like a little incubator where we take women and teach them how to run a handy woman business called Honeydew Academy.
Oh, very cool.
And so basically women help their men get the honeydew list done, right? They just take care of the honeydew list themselves. And then I have an online course called Drill Like a Girl. And so it's a power tool class, and it teaches you all the basics of that. And for your listeners, I have a special little kind of thing they can get for free, like a little mini course on how to use a cordless drill. I know you're going to probably put it in the show notes, but it's remodelyourlifepodcast.com/Mike. And they can get a free little mini video course about how to use a cordless drill correctly.
Okay, can you say that URL one more time?
Yeah, remodelyourlifepodcast.com/Mike.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, is there anything that you feel like you'd like to share if, for our, let's say, a piece of parting device that you, or advice that you'd like to be able to give to listeners about what it is, your current strategy in terms of learning your business and how you've been able to grow it and scale it for some maybe up and coming entrepreneurs that may be listening?
Well, if it's specific to construction,
Sure.
I would say that my real message is that women, there's kind of a myth that men are better at construction, right?
Yeah.
And myself included, I used to think that's the natural order of things. And it's just a complete myth. Like, women are just uniquely qualified to do this. The smaller you are, the littler you are, the actual easier it is to get up on a ladder, to get into small spaces, to get in the attic, to put up crown molding.
Yeah.
All the qualities that you think you have to be big and strong are just a myth. And so women are just really, really good at this. And the minute they start trying it, like, it's obvious. So that's kind of my main message, is that just I want women to kind of rethink that myth and rethink that paradigm.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm going to press off. I'm going to press unrecord here. That was the last question, but that was great. I like the last end there. The myth.
Perfect.
Let's see here.
Good. So, short and sweet. That was good.
Short and sweet. That's right. No, I go through the few questions.
That's you.
And, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's right. I love the idea, but you're absolutely right though. As far
I don't know if you're actually short. I didn't mean that. I meant the interview.
No, I'm not that short. I'm not tall.
You're tall. Okay, good.
I'm 5'10"ish. Yeah,
okay,
no.
that's tall to me.
Yeah, no. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. It was great meeting you.
Yeah, you too. Anything I can do to help your show, just let me know. If you want to, come on my show. I have an idea of what your show's about, but if you ever, we want to come up with a segment or something for you to be on my show, I do. Obviously, I still love business and marketing and business development. I love all that stuff. So if that's what you want to talk about, we can talk about whatever you got coming up. So if you got something.
Yeah, I'm doing some.
Let me know.
I'm starting to do some coaching and things like that, and building out that business that I've started a little while ago. But I'm in the process of doing kind of growing this.
What kind of, like, outside of, because I know what business coaching is, but is there like a special angle that you're going after?
There's some people that have reached out to me more in the travel world, because I have a national group travel tech kind of business and kind of entertainment group travel. But it's really mainly the biz side. I love the startup world. I've sit on a couple of boards in that world, and I love just kind of seeing these guys grow. And sometimes just like, hey, here's what not to do is kind of more important than what to do.
Yeah. So maybe like tech startup.
Yep.
Nice, sort of. Okay.
Yep, some tech startups, any kind of startup, I think, that has sometimes not necessarily the resources, but sometimes even better when they don't. Like, how do I gather it? How do I create that? And sometimes there's so many people with the ideas, unfortunately, but we can help them do that. Yes, definitely great. I appreciate your time. So you're in Davis right now, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I have really good friends all my high school friends, all in Northern California. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah. No, I'm originally from Placerville, so I'm just like up the hill.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of my fraternity brothers are from Placerville.
We probably played, Ponderosa High School. Bruins.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's another one out there that is another, is it Placerville High, I guess? Yeah.
Well, there's El Dorado and there's Ponderosa.
El Dorado. That's where my friend Brandon went. He's in the FBI now in Sacramento.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very cool. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Right. It was great chatting with you.
I'll let you get on with your day. Okay.
Thanks,
man.
Bye-bye. Bye. Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Liebus, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow, because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.